I'm going to give you an inside look at what I've been wearing a lot recently. I just can't seem to pull myself away from some of these. Been wearing them a lot, really been enjoying these since. And obviously it's warming up. It's not just warming up, it's straight up hot now. We kind of went from spring a little bit straight into summer. I mean, it's going to be in the 90s all week. It's getting hot. So these are some of the things that I've been reaching for prior, and I'm probably still going to be wearing quite a few of these as well as we move forward. This first one here is a really well done release, something that solved an issue that I think some people might have had with a few of the flankers prior to this one. It's YSLY Eau de Parfum Intense. So what they're doing here is they're taking away the sweet apple. And I understand a lot of people buy YSLY, EDP, Le Parfum because of that. You know, it works great. It's a huge compliment puller, that sweetness mixing with some of the blue fragrance kind of smell. It's a recipe for massive pleasing greatness, you know? But for some, it is too sweet and maybe a bit too playful. This one fixes that problem. Instead of focusing in on the sweet apple and everything like that, they eliminate that and they really kind of amp up and focus on the aromatics, mixing with some of that amberwood or ambroxan or whatever you want to call it. So that effectively makes this one a little bit more fresh, a little bit more soapy and clean, and probably better suited for hot weather. You know, I still wear Eau de Parfum pretty often, and I wear it in the summertime. I don't really have too much of a problem doing that. But this one is going to be probably the better choice for when it gets really hot out. I just like this one a lot, man. Been wearing it a lot ever since I first got this one in. It's been one that's been heavy in my rotation, and it has kind of taken place of the Eau de Parfum. As much as I love that one and as much time as I've spent wearing that one, this is kind of becoming one of my new favorites. I really like it. It's easy to pull off. It's a fantastic performer. It's just a great release. Next up, we have Prada L'Homme Low. So kind of their summer version, essentially, of Prada L'Homme. And that's not to say that Prada L'Homme can't be used in summer like the original. It definitely can, you know. Focuses heavily on the neroli and some of the woods, and then of course a bit of iris, but it's ultimately soapy and clean and fresh and pretty musky as well. So can definitely be a great choice for summer. This one is a bit fresher, more focused on the citrus here. It's a little bit brighter. Again, more summer oriented, and that's what I like about it. And this, along with Prada L'Homme Water Splash, they kind of go hand in hand. They're more similar than not. So if you can find one but not the other, you can go that direction. And typically, at least at one point, Water Splash was a lot more affordable, and you could get a 5-ounce, 150 ml for under $100. I mean, that's a really good price. It would oftentimes come in around the same price or even maybe a bit less than a 100 ml of Prada L'Homme Low. So great deal there. If you can score that, that's amazing. Whichever one you can get your hands on, in my opinion, is worth it. If you just want a nice, bright, fresh version of Prada L'Homme, you know, that original sometimes is a bit too much for you in the summertime. This is a great solution to that problem. And typically in winter, I'm reaching for Prada L'Homme Intense a lot, fall and winter. And this is a nice one to have for when it's hot outside. Terre d'Hermès Eau Givrée is up next. You know, at one point, it would have been Terre d'Hermès Eau Très Fresh. Okay, not anymore. They discontinued that one and released this one as a replacement. It's got citron, juniper berries, woods, and like a mineral note in here too. But essentially very similar to Eau Très Fresh, except it has no watery notes, which is kind of separating them a little bit. And then there's a couple other minor differences, but for the most part, this is going to be the current summer version that you can buy right now. Because the original still is pretty earthy and pretty woody, and you know, it has the orange for sure, and that's a nice summer note, but still it's pretty heavy and spicy, right? This one, it just lightens everything up and makes it a bit easier to pull off when it's really hot outside. You know, a lot of summer scents, they lean pretty casual, but not this. You know, this is something that you could wear dressed up if you really want to, and you have something more important to go to. And you can also, of course, wear this one casually as well. But typically, it's hard to go the other way. Like, it's hard to make a good casual scent work for a really classy environment. But when you take a classy scent, you can kind of go dressed up or dressed down with it a bit easier, in my opinion. And that's kind of what this one is. So it's a great classy gentleman's summer scent, which, you know, that's a little bit more rare. Next up, John Varvatos Artisan Pure. This one comes in at around $35 to $40. You know, it finally got there. There's a point when this one was newer where it was still $60, $70, $80 on discounters, and I'm talking back like 5 years ago. But even still up to about 2 years ago, maybe 3, you know, it was still in the $50 range. It's kind of taken a while to work its way down, but now we're there. It's probably not going to get too much lower than this. And to me, even at $50, it's still worth a purchase. But the fact that you can get this one for effectively a cheapy price or pretty close to it, I think it's a great purchase for the money. So you have orange, clementine, you've got a petitgrain, neroli, musk, woody notes, all of that stuff. It's a very green, kind of earthy, outdoorsy scent. It kind of has the smell of like working in the garden is what I always describe it as. Just because the petitgrain, it's like crushed up green neroli leaves is how it smells, and you're getting the orange and things like that. So I really view this one as a spring scent just because it smells like everything coming back to life in spring. But make no mistake, I still wear this one into the summer months every year. It works great for that. It's really a refreshing and cooling scent that I just can't get enough of. I think it's a super unique one, especially at this price point. It's a no-brainer purchase. If you don't have this one yet and you haven't tried it, I would recommend doing so. I mean, it's great. You can't go wrong with it. Next up, we have Brioni Eau de Parfum Eclat. So this is, again, you know, not to sound like a broken record, but going to be the summer version of Brioni Eau de Parfum Intense, and so on, right? Now, the original Brioni Eau de Parfum Violet Leaf Heavy, it can definitely be worn in summertime, but there is a bit of a sweetness to it that, depending on who you are and where you're at, might not be something that you're interested in. So this one fixes that problem, has a really nice kind of sugary citrus opening going into a musky and light woody dry down. So you just, I mean, can't go wrong with that. So crisp, so refreshing. It smells amazing, and that sugary citrus type of smell gives it the slightest touch of a sweet undertone, but not too much to where it makes it hard to pull off in summertime. Like, it's still super easy to wear when it's hot outside. This stuff smells great. Just so refreshing, so vibrant, and it just works really well. It's got great quality too, and because it's kind of like the summer version within the line, it's a little bit more affordable than a few of the others. Not by a huge margin, but a little bit. So very reasonably priced on discounters. Something that you could wear pretty much every day for any situation. Just a lot of usability about it. Something you should check out. And I know I mentioned this when I read off the name of it, but it's an eau de parfum, something that also isn't overly common with summer scents. So you do have a stronger concentration there. Next up, we have Bulgari Man Wood Neroli. Talked about this one a lot. It's one of my favorites within the lineup. You know, I'll be the one to say it. Some of their newer ones aren't as good, not as exciting. Rain Essence and Glacial Essence, they're fine. Nothing wrong with them. They aren't all that exciting to me. Wood Essence, Wood Neroli, you know, even Terra Essence, right? Those are just a lot more interesting to me. And between all of those, and at least just talking about kind of the summer-focused ones, Wood Neroli takes the cake for me. This one kind of reminds me a bit of Xerjoff Neo, kind of from the bergamot. You get a little bit of a Xerjoff Kobe from some of the sweetness, and you get a lot of neroli in here too, also kind of tying it back to Neo. So it's effectively kind of like a Xerjoff Neo, Xerjoff Kobe inspiration, or kind of similar to style, but at a fraction of the cost. I mean, those, you know, are 50 ml for, you know, $150 or something like that. Maybe even a bit more. Can't remember 100% sure. Maybe even a bit less. They're expensive, you know, Xerjoff. But this one is, you know, $50, $60, something like that. Very reasonable. And for what it's worth, it's a unique summer scent too, which I really like and really respect. Now this next one here, it's pretty expensive. I've talked about it before though. I really like it. I don't know if it's really hit discounters yet. That's kind of one of the main issues right now, but it'll happen at some point. And I'll be excited when it does, because then it opens it up to so many more people. And Another reason why I like it is because it's a more affordable version, essentially, of a niche product that I really like, but it's even more expensive than this. So it is Gucci Guilty Elixir. So yeah, starting with the elixirs here. Every brand is going to have one at some point now. They're already starting. This one turned out really well. And what does it remind me of, or what does it smell like? To me, it smells a lot like Amouage Reflection Man 45 Extrait, which, if you're unaware, retails for $500. I mean, that's not cheap. It'll pop up on discounters every now and then for, if you're lucky, $250, but generally $300. So, you know, it's still saving a couple $100 off retail, but that's still very expensive. The original Reflection Man Eau de Parfum, you know, I think it's down into like $120, $130, somewhere around in there. So it's very reasonable, and there is a huge difference between them. With that being said, for me, and this is just my personal opinion, 45 Extrait is worth every penny. Yes, it's a lot more expensive, but it's so much better, way better performing. It's a lot stronger, a lot richer just in terms of its composition. I just think it is the way to go. But again, it's pricey. This reminds me a lot of that. And it retails for $180, so already coming in at a much lower price at retail. But imagine when this one hits discounters. You start looking at $150, maybe $140 if we're lucky, maybe even less, I don't know, it'd be nice. But now you're really starting to shorten that gap. And yes, it's a 60 ml bottle, so it's still expensive price per milliliter, but still out-of-pocket cost here, much lower than that of Reflection 45. So something to consider if you want something kind of similar to that at a lower price. I absolutely love this stuff. Love wearing it when it's warmer outside. When it gets really hot, I'll be gravitating towards some other things, you know, like coming up now. But this one, really good for a mild summer day. And last up, we have what I've always referred to as my summer gourmand. You know, you start getting into this time of year, and I have my, you know, winter gourmand fragrances put on the shelf. Just can't wear them. It's just way too hot outside. Those are way too sweet. Comes a point where I start missing those edible kind of sweet style scents. And if I do kind of get there, find myself craving something like that, I've got a summer version of that, essentially. It's Chanel Allure Homme Edition Blanche. And this is going to be a very lemon-focused version of the original, essentially. So similar to the original, maybe even a bit similar to Allure Homme Sport Eau Extreme. It's got the tonka sweetness and kind of that powdery smell. Then you're getting some of the freshness and then a lot of lemon. And it really is punchy and sweet and vibrant and fresh. It smells great. Gosh, I absolutely love that stuff. The opening is incredible. Just nice lemon pie smell, you know, delicious smelling. And when you get a little bit of heat on this one from the sun, when it's warm outside, God, it opens up and it just smells even better. You know, it smells great inside in a normal temperature, but get some heat on it, get some sun on it. It turns into a completely different scent. It really smells great. Definitely something I love to wear a lot when it gets hot outside. One that I recommend, and also one that's been hyped up and popular for some time now, but maybe easy to forget about if you just don't see it all the time. Edition Blanche, it's a really nice addicting summer scent. Alrighty guys, that's gonna do it for me. Some fragrances I've been wearing and reaching for nonstop. I just absolutely love how these smell. I'll link them all down below. That's gonna do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.